This one. Okay.
Okay, good. Good evening. I'll call this meeting to order. Public notice has been duly given and a quorum is present and meeting is duly constituted. The first order on the agenda is approval of the agenda. May I have a motion? And a second? Discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'll call the question. All in favour? Opposed? It carries. So the next order of business is public participation, and the list has disappeared. Thank you. I will hold everybody to 2 minutes, and there is a timer. The timekeeper, esteemed Councillor Bain, will give you a nod when you've got about 20 seconds left, and please wrap it up in the time. First speaker on public participation, David Torrance. Welcome.
Thank you. It's an interesting community we live in because it's really a village, but in many ways it functions on a daily basis like a little isolated pocket that really don't know what's happening in other areas. So if you live down on the waterfront, you don't really know what's going on in Calvin Grove. If you live in Lower Calvin Grove, you don't know what's happening up in Calvin Grove. So I wanted to talk about the parking issue and bylaw enforcement because quite some years ago, and it's all in the files here in the council, we had a horrendous problem. I'm from Lower Calvin Grove, and we had a horrendous parking problem that extended. It filled the cul-de-sac, filled the parking lot, and it filled tidewater right up to the highway access. And there's lots of photographs that we have documented and submitted to council. And worked with the community in Lower Calvin Grove, got a petition, got about a 90% approval by everybody in Lower Calvin Grove on the highway, that there should be restrictions on parking and there should be effective bylaw enforcement. Because the other reality is that anywhere in any community, if you have bylaws and you have signage, if it's not enforced, it doesn't exist. It's human nature. I do it. If you think you can park in a lane downtown because you want to make a quick visit into somebody's office and you think you're going to get ticketed, you do it. And we did. In fact, I bought some of the original no parking signs that went up in Lower Calvin Grove for the municipality. The municipality posted more, and then we had for a long time effective bylaw enforcement because the village allowed the residents to phone the towing company. That probably contravenes all kinds of regulations now, but it was quite effective. And I just wanted to, we're getting increasing parking again, not just down in Lower Tidewater, Upper Tidewater, now in Sweetwater, campers, fishermen, picnickers, cliff jumpers, the usual stuff. So unless we have enforcement of the bylaws, they just drift. Parking just increases.
Thanks. I think because I suspect the topics are all going to be similar, we'll give you sort of an omnibus blanket response at the end. And the news is probably positive in that we're aware of some of these problems and we're doing something about it. But I'll call on the next speaker. Is it Mr. Carpenter?
Basically covering the same thing that he was. I'm relatively new to the area, and all I know is I don't sit in my front patio anymore because of what I see in the parking lot. And when I have friends, I'm too embarrassed. So
This gentleman lives right across from the entrance of the parking lot.
I live about 40 feet above the parking lot at 90 Tidewater Way.
Okay.
My
Thank
wife,
you.
by the way, has picked up a big bag of garbage thrown over the cement wall tonight. They just drop the garbage where they stand.
Okay. Thanks. You'll waive the rest of your 2 minutes, and I'll move on to Mr. Azordigan.
Thank you. First of all, I believe that we need a new signage, as we talked before, that we don't have it. Secondly, just as usual, I'm not going to say the problems, I'm coming with the solution. Any municipality can make a decision about the amount of the cost of the ticketing. The ticket $35, when you go to downtown, if you want to go or anywhere else you want to just swimming, it's going to be $12 to $15 per hour. And all these people, they prefer to be here from 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock on the morning until end of the day and pay $35. They don't care. I believe that I'm requesting that we have to double at least double the amount. It goes to $70, and then it's gonna cover, because we have a lack of the budgeting. Will cover all the amount that we have to pay to the bylaw officer. Additionally, we save something for municipality. It means we don't need just Saturday and Sunday. I'm telling you, every day in summer and August, till end of August, it's gonna be Saturday and Sunday, every day. You can see that how many cars are there. We need the bylaw officer every day come over there a few hours, and then the cost, promise you, that $70, it's gonna just cover his cost, payment, and also the benefit of the village, and also we are gonna get a better situation to live. This is one thing. Second, one thing that I'm very concerned, yesterday it has been, because it comes from the desk of mayor, and I respect you, as you know, it comes that yesterday there should be a kind of meeting for filming committee. Unfortunately, no one told us, and the door was closed. Is it the way that we communicate?
Okay, that's your 2 minutes, thank you. I think I can respond on behalf of council to those. So, I don't believe that this is anything we haven't heard before in terms of the parking. We understand the import of the issue. I can tell you that we have already requested the RCMP to familiarize themselves with our parking bylaws. They are waiting for staff to prepare a care package of bylaws and ticket books, which they will undertake to carry in their cars and cruise through all three of our beach parking lots around 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and chase off anybody who's there, including issuing parking tickets. That's already in play. In fact, if I can ask, acting CA or interim CA or acting CA, Pam Rook,
Yes.
have they picked up the ticket books yet?
They haven't. We had to order some tickets and they've now arrived, and they also want a copy of the bylaw so they know the ticket price. We're providing that tomorrow.
Fantastic, thanks.
After adoption.
So the RCMP is going to be patrolling the parking lot, I won't say daily, but frequently after closing time. So that's taken care of that problem. It's not as simple a matter as increasing the fine or increasing the bylaw hours. People dispute the ticket. It costs us more to fight the ticket than the revenue at just about anything. We don't currently have a screening officer. It's a statutory position that has to be trained and tested. And so, in effect, if anybody disputes a ticket, there's a timeline on this, we have to forgive the ticket. We are addressing that problem by putting a screening officer in place. I believe we approved that tonight, or we approved that last special council meeting.
Council.
Okay, so that's being taken care of. We will have a screening officer. Typically what happens is that we don't forgive a ticket and it goes to adjudication. My understanding from last year, do you know off the top of your head, Pam? I think we saw something like 20 tickets go to adjudication, of which only one was successfully thrown out by the adjudication board. But it requires a huge amount of staff time to prepare and staff to be there. We just don't have that kind of staff. So it's not a simple matter of increasing the fine and increasing the bylaw. Tickets cost us money.
There is a solution, towing.
Okay, so that is the next thing that we're looking at. Staff is preparing a report on the parking situation across the whole village, not just Golden Grove, so that we can actually address this thing in a holistic way. We are. This is nothing that I need to repeat because we told you this last time. We're looking at zones. We're looking at parking meters. We're looking at pay by phone account. We are looking at it. We're aware of this. I don't need to tell you. I'm sure that the wheels of municipalities grind slow. Things don't happen quickly. There are statutory requirements for every one of these steps. So we're aware of the issue, very aware. We don't like it any more than you do. I don't know how much you're aware of parking issues elsewhere in the village, like in Brunswick or up at the hikers park. We have a parking issue. Lions Bay is a desirable place on the weekend and in the summer. We're going to fix it. So I'll indulge you for 15 seconds, please.
Before 1998, 2/3 of the parking lot in Lower Kelvin Road was closed off with a large concrete barrier. And there was enough space in there for the residents of Lions Bay who would come down and park in Lower Kelvin Road to walk their dogs or go to the beach. The parking problem became hugely problematic when that barrier was just arbitrarily removed and 2/3 of the parking lot was opened up, and it wasn't needed for Lions Bay residents.
Do you know what the genesis of moving the barrier was?
There was never an explanation. There was never any consultation or explanation.
Okay, so as I say, we're not going to solve this problem here and now. We're looking for
There are other sort of more physical ways of at least limiting the problem too.
Yeah, okay, granted. Thanks. It's always good to know just how important these things are to people. We know. We don't see as many delegations from the people up on mountain and the hiking destinations, but they're just as bad. Brunswick Beach has it worst of all. Thanks. I'll call on the next speaker, if I may, Ruth Simons.
Sorry, I say 15 seconds. Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. For any problem that we have, we are going to have immediate solution and in a future solution. The solution, as you said, regarding the parking meter whatsoever, it's going to be for the future. What you are going to do for this summer?
As I
It's going to
said,
be disaster. We need bylaw officer extending time and just to pay him by increasing. That's the only thing that we can do. Otherwise, every day is Sunday and Saturday. It doesn't work.
okay, thanks. So we're not hearing anything new. As I said, we have asked staff for a report. Council has asked staff for a report. We're going to come up with a holistic solution. Not going to do anything
For
knee-jerk.
this summer.
I'm not making any promises. I don't know what the report's going to say. How can I? We're not going to solve this problem now. We'll move on. Ruth Simons. 2 minutes, please.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
Hi. I'm here, I felt compelled to come this evening when I saw your e-news and your request for villagers to provide some feedback to you in order so that you have a strong mandate to support the future of Howe Sound. And your question is a very good one, and I believe that you will likely get a lot of great feedback from the villagers. On behalf of the future of Howe Sound Society, and having worked on issues around Howe Sound for some time, is particularly encouraging communities from around Howe Sound to work together towards a comprehensive management plan, and for the government to properly address cumulative effects of any developments that are proposed for the area. We'll be certainly writing and providing some feedback. I just wanted to remind Council, and this will be in the writing, is that in 2013, communities around Howe Sound resolved to urge the provincial and federal governments for a comprehensive management plan, land and marine use plan for the Sound. And so in representing Lions Bay, we certainly hope that the legacy of advocating for a healthy environment and the future and the continued recovery of Howe Sound, that Lions Bay will continue to be a champion for those causes. We are making progress in terms of planning, and I think that the recent report from the Auditor General on the province's ability to effectively manage cumulative effects is just further sort of validation of our concern around projects all happening at once without that assessment. Lastly, I just wanted to say that I did attend the opening of the Sea to Sky Marine Trail on Sunday. It was in Squamish. The Lieutenant Governor was there, and it was a fabulous event. And when we're talking about future economies for Howe Sound and what are opportunities for non-extractive type economies, it was very hopeful and really terrific event. So not enough time.
Yeah, thank you, Ruth. I can give you a brief summary on behalf of Council again. We've had quite a lot of responses in response to that question that I asked last week. Every single one of which is in favour of non-industrial use of house sound. In some cases, going as far as non-commercial use, capitalizing on the tourism aspect, the attractiveness of the natural environment. Some are particularly well thought through and rational, others perhaps more emotive. But it's quite telling to me that I think we've probably had 25 responses, maybe. All 25, nobody is supportive of industrialization of house sound. The only thing the only range is between absolutely not and maybe evaluate projects on a case-by-case basis. That all, I'll summarize those. All I'm going to leave it open for another couple of weeks. You know, it's not representative. It's 25 out of 1,000, 1,500 people. But I think the response that we have had is quite telling. Thanks. Okay, so that's all we have on the speakers list, and we're going to move forward. The next item on the agenda is adoption of minutes of the June 2nd meeting.
Mr. Mayor and
Thanks,
Council,
Mr.
thank you
Dorian.
so much.
Thanks.
And
Thanks for coming.
hopefully they communicate better, let us know not to be here.
Oh, sorry, I did not. Let me address that one.
Yes, sir.
So the meeting was cancelled. That's about all I know about it because I was unable to attend. The resident members felt that there was no point in having the meeting, and I don't know that there was. I'm sorry, there was not even a.
Because it comes in your email, and we respect your email when you send it to us.
Well, I should indicate.
Mention, and suddenly it cancelled, nobody noticed.
You know, I don't author the entire village update.
I know.
I only do the from the
But they
main.
can send very simple cancel. That's it. Yeah.
If there wasn't a notice on the door, I apologize.
No, it's not your problem. I apologize that I said something which is not good for me.
No problem.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Have
Thanks.
a good time.
Have a good evening.
Gentlemen, I'll leave as well.
Thank you very
It's
much.
nice meeting you all. Hopefully I'll do it individually.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking the trouble.
Thank you.
It's very well taken.
Have a nice evening.
And anything that you need as a volunteer not to pay, I'm ready. Counting on. Thank
Good.
you.
Do you have a chainsaw?
Whatever you say. Because you are a good one.
Okay. I've called the agenda item and I'll take a motion for adoption. We'll discuss after a second. Motion, second, discussion. I had nothing. It's perfect.
I have nothing.
Really?
Nothing.
First time nothing. Congratulations.
Strike while iron is hot.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll call the question. All in favor of adoption of the minutes of June 2nd, 2015? Opposed? It carries. So we'll move on. Business arising. Action items report, page 8. And there they are. I'll just run through them with the ones I know, jumping. So I have the tree cutting report. I passed it on to the particular resident who was implicated, interested, whatever. Ron, are you going to make it?
Yeah, I don't like this here. Oh, summer here.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay. We've got water.
Thank you.
Okay. I think the next item, the May 5th item, is moot because we're now at adoption of council procedures bylaw, correct?
Not at adoption. I have an on-table report about that, but yes, this has been
Okay,
completed.
so
this
that's
portion,
taken care
yes.
of. To be honest, I can't remember what the next one is. Mayor Bird to respond to R1 5-year plan.
Was it the 5-year plan of the,
Yeah, see, you can't remember.
Yeah, it's the,
I don't remember.
remember we asked if we wanted to vote. We had a conversation about the, was it Metro? Metro's report? It wasn't our 5-year plan. It was 5-year plan of, is it Metro Vancouver?
I'm going to have to go back through the minutes.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. I'm going to have to mark that one. The correspondence I did respond to. I think I copied council, but it's been responded to. I did request of Translit, but have not had a response. Surprise, surprise! They're all taken up with the referendum right now. I'll move it up the chain one to find out what can be done about using Translit revenue for the parking lot. I did not ask that because I had more pressing concerns and about the parking, and but I believe it went out in the village update, did it not, as a staff item? It did.
I'm pretty
We
sure.
did ask for feedback on parking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's taken care of, if you'll give me the grace to say that staff took care of it. We will have it as an agenda item next meeting and it will be as simple as requesting a staff update. I know Nikki's working on it. It's something of a chicken and egg situation with signage and so on, but we need to get the parking situation nailed down.
So a staff update on parking signage.
Yeah, well, Nikki's working on it, so we're
Yes.
just looking for a progress
But
report.
just specifying the signage, not parking, just signage.
Well, no, it was a more holistic thing, and so maybe I'll just need to check the terms of reference of that request to see what she is exact. Maybe we'll just have her check in. Okay. So,
There are other action points
Page
in
4.
the minutes.
but that's unfinished business, so we're going to move to that now. Although I see. Okay, let's. The first item of unfinished business will go through the action items in the minutes. So what happens is the action items get carried forward into the action item report if they don't get taken care of during the review of the previous meeting's minutes. So we'll just quickly run through the action items. Under 6. Nikki's away,
She's away.
Nikki's away.
but
And-
did she not report this to the IC, Fred? Kids running their hands over lead-based paint. Or did she not?
She made a comment.
She did.
I can't remember exactly what she said.
Okay, we don't have a report there. We'll carry that one forward, Carol. So the first action item in 6 is to carry forward into the action item report. Dave Butler to inspect the structural integrity of Lions Bay Beach washrooms, report back to council via a half-page report with his opinion.
Done.
That's in.
Did he email that?
Yeah.
Yes, because I proofed it for him and
Yeah.
then, okay.
That's done. Councillor Waterson and or Mayor Burt to research the Bear Smart Committee. We have a report coming forward on that one
Yes.
now, so that's considered done. I did not do F.
I'll send you the names of the.
Thank you, please do. So Carol, 7F carried forward into the report. We did a lot of work this meeting. And that was it, as far as I can see for action items, correct? Okay, so we'll move on to the agenda items, page 11, Canada Day.
Shall I
Yeah, please.
speak to this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so basically, Kate, who's running this event, asked council to take care of these two issues. Number one is to invite the dignitaries. So who will do this? Is it staff? Is it council?
Well, typically it runs through staff, yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I can certainly write a letter to the MLA or the MP or both, but I need to be directed when, how, what,
So
details, time,
Who will give the direction?
stuff.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the invite the dignitaries staff?
Yeah,
There must be an
Or
old
do we-
one on file.
yeah, I would assume so. I don't know that the mayor previously invited dignitaries.
They frequently, they just can't.
They
They do
just,
this
but they need to
simple-
be. It's,
I
you know,
think
it's
that-
more saying, hey, you should be aware that we're having this deal.
Yeah, I think they ate pieces of cake that day and
Yeah.
go from place to place.
You know, I don't want to be in a position of having to host the dignitaries. They must show up, we'll say hello, and then they wander around, press the flesh. Although I see that the mayor and council are also dignitaries. It's good to know.
Well, Mrs. Pratt's ill-informed.
And then she wanted us to confirm which awards we're handing out.
I think
that she
that's,
could put
we're
it on
gonna
the
talk about
agenda.
that later.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can say Citizen of the Year, yes. Citizen of Distinction, yes. The
Curtis
scholarship,
Stewart
the
Scholarship.
Curtis Stewart Memorial Scholarship, yes.
They're the only three I'm aware
Yeah,
of, and we're
and-
having the plaques done for those.
Yeah. And on the list there was a fourth one. No, it's those three.
And
You're
you
going
will
to
be
communicate this to her?
Yes,
to
I
Kate?
will, and you will be handing it out?
Yes.
Okay. And when she drafts a schedule, do you want her to send it to us for
I
approval?
think, I'd like to see it,
Okay.
just to make sure, but, well, the mayor is the one that's the showpiece
Do you want to
representative.
take the lead on, because I'm gonna be away, and you seem to be already working with her on this. Do
Okay,
you want to
fine,
handle
okay,
this?
thank you.
Oh, is that the case?
Yeah.
Well, we're stumbled into it. but
Just
that-
bird dogging it? Okay, that's good. Yeah, I mean, typically I think they sort of run the
So-
whole thing.
Yeah, so if you copy me, then I'll carry through and copy you to the end.
Because this is the first year that Kate's running it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're all
Okay.
kind of fumbling in the dark.
So, Councillor Watterson, if we could just go through this again, so staff, using their stuff here, staff will invite the Mounties, they'll invite the fire department. I think mayor and council are aware, so I guess to the MP and the MLA, to their press secretaries.
Just
they
to advise their staff that it's on.
Staff could do the invitation and apprise the time. And the awards we've covered, and I think that covers everything from Ms. Pratt.
Well, oh, sorry, they're inviting the Mountie and the fire department.
I'm
Yes.
happy to contact these officers.
The events committee?
Yes.
No,
Why
I
would
think
they,
that needs to
why
come
would they
from.
phone the police?
Yeah, no, I think that needs to come from the
Okay.
municipality.
The police may
Because-
say no.
No, she's, not police actually, Mounties. Because I think previous years, the events committee were the ones that invited them.
Well,
One of the
why
Mounties.
don't you, okay,
But you
not
can
gonna
do
duke
it.
it out with the chair,
Yeah.
but I mean, we've got the connection with the police, so.
Yeah.
Okay, but, okay.
Yeah,
But she
I-
says she's already in contact with them, and,
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure a private citizen arranging a Canada Day celebration can call the RCMP and say,
I don't
hey,
think there's an action.
send one of you guys in red.
okay, and then actually with regards to that, she wanted to know if the Mountie, was he the person that raised the flag? Does anybody recall?
No,
No, do you know who raised the flag?
it's normally the Citizen of the Year from last year.
Okay,
So
And raising the flag, that's not actually protocol. You must break the flag. The flag must be at the top of the flagpole and you jerk the string and the flag unfurls. You don't.
really?
we
Yeah,
do
that's
that.
only in the morning.
Raise it.
Yeah,
That's
that's-
the same in Canada.
It's bad protocol.
So the previous Citizen of the Year needs to get to be asked to do that.
We need a protocol officer.
Yeah.
I'm going to find out about that.
Well, let's
It's normally
leave it at this to move on.
Yeah.
Councillor
That's
Watterson's
the-
gonna respond. The email flurry, we've still got some time here, so everybody be in the loop, but staff's got their marching
Well, it's 2 weeks, yeah. I mean, to the extent that I cannot stand to see our national flag unlit at night flying. It's bad.
Needs to be higher too.
It does need to be higher. Or on the right.
Put that down as a 2016 budget item.
Okay.
I've almost gone to Home Depot and bought one of those self-charging ones. But I can't get it installed. Okay, so are we good?
Yeah.
Okay. Whole storage. Is that a on table staff report?
That wasn't staff. Shauna was requested to put that on and not.
Oh, maybe it was me, I don't recall. But I just wanted to know if all the, I don't even know who to ask, if the various groups and events who are using the hall have been notified that the storage is now available? Because I see that, the,
Outdoor storage?
yes, the outdoor storage. What has
I
happened
don't
with
think
that?
they'd be notified
Susan?
yet. Oh, sorry.
I can answer that
Oh, sure.
because we just ordered it because we were waiting for shelves. So we've just ordered shelves, so they should be going in pretty soon, and then as soon as the shelves are in, then we'll notify the groups that there's no
Okay, so
stuff in.
staff will notify the group, because they're all sitting there with,
Yes.
actually, I've just moved out a bunch of stuff in storage as well, waiting to
We will.
waiting to go into the storage
We're also
units.
having a
Take it
staff
from
meeting
their
tomorrow,
homes.
and we did want to talk maybe about protocol. It's still not a huge storage, and we
Yeah.
just don't want uncontrolled dumping into it. So we were going to talk about having some procedures around it
Yeah.
as well.
Okay, but it's in hand, sounds
But
like.
it's in hand, yes.
Okay, good. Okay, so we'll move on to CAO's report.
Yes, and there isn't there's no report.
No report, fine, good. Mayor and Council. National Health and Fitness Day and Community Engagement, page 13. Helen, this is yours, I believe.
Yes, actually the reason for this report was that, well, quite a few people put in a lot of time and effort towards hosting National Health and Fitness Day, and it was actually quite disappointing, the number of people that turned out, and then the number of counselors that turned out was disappointing as well. So I was wondering if, to address that problem, number one, if in the situation of a council-sponsored event, would council be willing to put in a budget to assist with the promotion of various programs? For example, I think one of the main forms of communication we have for such events are those street signs, and I think that was lacking, so a lot of people maybe didn't even know about it. So moving forward.
I mean, that is a larger problem, and I've been racking my brain on this one. We do need to improve non-email communication, given the fact that there's only 520 addresses on our email list. We need posters that people can read when they're driving past them at 30.
Flashing sign.
Well, ultimately what I would like to do is have weatherproof TV screens at the 3 entrances to the village, centrally controlled, blah, blah, blah. That's a big budget item.
Okay.
And I don't know if people read them.
Flashing.
So what we do need to have is a poster printer, waterproof ink, that we can put on this sandwich board, although the sandwich board's days are numbered,
Yeah.
as far as I'm
Yeah,
concerned.
I'm there
But
too.
we've got notice boards everywhere around, because people don't know. So to answer your question, we don't have budget this year, but yes, we probably need to allocate for municipal events, we need to.
Even a tiny one, just to do the signs.
Several things on this one, Councillor Watterson. Firstly, I think you've gone to a lead that I'm going to follow. I think if I'm going to do something like this, I'm going to do it in a report format, the way you've done it, nice and clear, one page, everybody's got it, we know what. And it's a legacy for staff, thank you for that. Regrets on my personal attendance, but a rare event caused me to go to sea. To your issue about let's call it a budget, I'm fine with the budget. I'd be ready to go there for, a few $100s for whatever your next event is. I think coming forward to us all the time is, to me, you don't have to do that.
We have to be careful of sign overload, because the little
Well, they're fighting with each other sometimes.
Yeah. Marketing is a big challenge.
I know.
I think a lot of people didn't know about it.
Pardon?
A lot of people didn't know about it.
Yeah.
It was fun.
But the 16 of us that
Well,
turned out.
I mean,
John Weston
also-
is not as fit as he would
the
let on. I can
information's
tell you.
not sure. Sunny weekend, people got lots of things to do. So
Yeah.
was it lack of marketing or many other choices? So
Yes, for sure.
different issue, not to put away about the effort. So for me, yes, you've got a budget. Happy to whatever you want to do. Yes, I'll try and attend.
At least you sent an email to say that you won't be attending.
Okay. I think the message ought to have been received. We do need to understand as a wider project how we promote village events so that it doesn't get lost in the clutter and people are aware of it. Those that don't read emails. Because often sending an email is, as far as I can tell, sometimes the only promotion.
Or they do read it and it just gets,
Lost.
forgotten, lost.
Well,
Yeah.
one thing we know for certain is that they read from the mayor's desk every week. And so if we need to announce something like that, a spot there is something that's a good place to advertise it, go for it, because they do read that.
You're right, and it's been suggested. I'll just interject this now because it's on a similar topic. It's been suggested to me that we should hold a town hall, village hall, meeting to talk about the water situation. Because there will be people who will not be aware. They will not notice the sort of the demo sign that we're putting up. I mean, that's not the final sign. We're tweaking the design on that one through the IC. They will not have seen the email. I only need to tell you there's only 520 email addresses, and my family accounts for 3 of them. So I don't want people to say that they didn't know when the village potentially enters a water crisis in a month's time, or 2 months' time, or 3 months' time. So it's been suggested we have a town hall. That may, and the way to proselytize that town hall may be the mayor's thing, but we need more than that, because only 520 people read it.
A council member at each entrance and exit with a sign. Do it for
Like
2
this?
days. Something. Do the funny little wiggly clown or something like that. Get people's attention.
I'm going to be sick that day.
It's Councillor Watterson's got a good point. I mean, it's overload and it's all the rest of that. I mean, and having done many meetings, and even former Mayor Wyman, who had his door open every Friday afternoon, and nobody came. It's a funny community, as one of the residents said, you know, the issue here is not the issue there. This is a global issue, and, you know, to have complaints after the fact when you shot the rockets in the air, and we've got the demo almost in place, and there's other residences that we could do photographs of and things like that. So there's a ton of stuff that can be done pretty quickly, and then it could go part of your mayor's desk message.
Okay, well, I'll just interject that for now.
There's a bunch of things that can be done to encourage people to talk to their neighbors, to suggest that they talk to a neighbor on each side of them, to spread the word if they do find, because some people know who don't, some people know who the people are that don't read emails or don't bother with emails. And sometimes you cannot get 100% response to that kind of stuff. It's not gonna happen, because people are private. I have days where I feel like that I don't wanna do anything, I'm not gonna do anything, simple as that, and I won't talk to anybody. It's just, you know, not in my role now, but the thing is, everybody's like that. And so we have bad weeks, bad days, but all we can do is encourage people to talk to their neighbors. They know their neighbors, and that's probably the best way.
Well, we also have the block captains, if
Yeah.
we approach
That's
the
another-
block
that's another good
captains,
point.
where the emails are segregated to the
Absolutely.
15, privately to within 15 people, but only the block captains got them all. So there's another way. We will get to everybody in the village.
You're not allowed to use that database for anything except for block watch related
It was certainly, you know,
information.
I know who the people on my street that I
Well,
talk to on a
I do
regular
too.
basis
I
on
mean,
Block
I'd be-
Watch.
yeah,
And
so-
so we talk all the time.
Yeah, there may be a sort of an in-person requirement for really important stuff like the water. I don't want to sidetrack the discussion, but I just want people to be aware that we need to be thinking about that.
I have 3 items as a council report. If
Fine,
I'd
yeah,
like.
go
I'll
ahead.
be very quick, and please. So I'm going to project, and I would ask the mayor if this week or next you do a couple of sentences on the Kelvin Beach closure, the issue with the E. coli. I think that my observation is that I'm getting emails, and I've given some to Mayor Burr and also to the administration. They haven't come through the reception, and I also received phone calls about this. And the issues are, why is it occurring? When is it going to stop? Is it the boats? Is it who knows what? So I think the situation's not going to be nothing that we can resolve. So I think some information needs to go out on that one. So if I could ask staff, and Nikki's away on holidays right now, so and works as short staff. So I think something out there is probably the first preemptive piece. If that's fine with you, Mayor Burr.
That's fine.
What do you mean something out there? Isn't it already out there?
People want to go swimming.
Is it safe? yet?
No,
No.
signs, no.
Okay.
No, it's still
It's-
posted.
No, it's
It's
not.
posted.
They took the Monday water sampling, we won't get the results until tomorrow. And right now, they're still unaware of the cause, so that might be something I'll talk to Nikki about when she gets back, to see what the next steps would be if we have to do some underwater diving to see
Yeah.
if there's a crack.
And some of the residents are of the belief that it's the boats that are anchored there, flushing and on and on and on. So I think rather than having 25 emails coming in or letters or delegations, I think we gotta get ahead of this.
From the point of view from the mayor's desk, that information can be put out there saying the beach is currently closed due to pollution or whatever
Yep.
you want to call it, a high E. coli, whatever we don't know what the reason is at this point in time, but it is closed.
Yeah.
Simple as that until that's
It's
lifted.
antiseptic and
End of
maybe
story.
the mayor may
Yeah.
choose
Because
to
they don't know, I'm getting
do
daily
two
updates from
sentences in
Public Works, and they
ensuing
don't
weeks.
know why.
Anyhow,
Yeah.
okay, so thank you, Mayor.
We are investigating.
The other one, which is, and I've given staff a piece of this, it's a continuing piece, resident issues with noise at a particular site. And so I'm going to ask that staff has seen the letter, the email that I have. This is a consistent complaint over alleged commercial activity or building within a permit that at such an extent that it distresses the neighbors close by. I'm going to ask staff to review this and provide a recommendation for next council meeting. And council may at that time decide to act upon the information or not, whatever it is. The third item is, and I think, as Councillor Watterson was mentioning, Canada Day. The events committee is this is, their sponsor is doing it, so a lot of the people that do a lot of the work are actually getting a day off. One of the things that will be going on is a beer garden that I sponsored and council approved last week. So I think my suggestion and ask is that the events committee usually does anything that could use a little help in breaking down the thing. I'm going to offer my family for this, and I'm in the vein of Councillor Watterson, who's we're not afraid to ask, and I would ask Councillor Bain and Councillor Hughes if they would consider assisting or reaching out to other volunteers that might do this. I don't see this as an onerous job, and it's likely we're going to be there anyhow. So if it's a yes, if you could advise me, and I'll get us the preferred spots. The other thing too, and this is just a heads up, the sponsor for the evening is going to be doing, for the event is going to be doing a roast pig. Their team is likely to be there at 3 o'clock in the morning, firing up the barbecue and manning the station, playing with the Canada geese and enjoying the lead-painted shows. So I really don't see a problem with this, but I wasn't looking for one. So I think other than having a member of my family, I think I'll probably pop down at 7 and offer to give them breakfast and have one of my kids act as attendant for a bit. But I'm just making everybody aware that there's going to be activity at the beach early on. And that's all I have.
Very good, thank you.
Actually, I have a question with regards to this. So, according to council procedure, we don't have to itemize the points that we need to discuss beforehand? We can just,
I think we can give some latitude. This is a council report.
okay. And I'm just thinking, moving forward, do I need to then write, can I do something
Well,
similar?
to me, this, I'll give you the quick skinny on this, Councillor Watterson. I mean, we're not going to meet for the rest of the month, and it's 3 weeks and change. These issues just came up today, so.
These are emergent
today.
reasons. We would prefer
So-
to have these reports written so that residents can review
Yeah,
them as
and
part of the
actually,
package.
and that's where I gave you kudos. I preferred, if I had more time, I would have done it that way.
And I would prefer just to do it this way.
Well,
But this-
let's.
This will now
Yeah.
go into the minutes,
Yeah.
and you'll have to indicate what you want in the minutes of the written material you've supplied and whatnot. Yeah, as we've stated, we prefer to get things in the meeting package so that everyone can review.
And really for us, for the purpose of bringing this up to 2 of the 3 items are to get the action going so we don't sit for 3 weeks.
But on a go-forward basis, Councillor Watterson, yes, if you just did a report under Mayor and Council saying to discuss the following items and literally just list them, and then you can verbally talk about the advantage of getting that in by the deadline. It's in the package. It's not just for the public, but also the councillors can see what's planning to be discussed. But it can be very short, just the following items I would like to discuss at the meeting, similar to what you did, and then you could provide that for the deadline, and then we would put it into the agenda package.
I like that format.
I do too. I'm using it.
Okay, good. We'll move on. Anything more under Mayor and Council? Good, thanks. So we'll move to committees. Tree application number 59, page 15. Okay, so the remind me, we don't actually see the application, so we don't know what tree we're rubber stamping the tree committee's
Yeah.
recommendation without any ability to see whether we agree with it or not as council.
Correct.
Okay, we need to think that through because this is information only, right? So how can we approve this? We don't know what it is. Don't know where it is. I mean, I presume it's gone through the process,
Right, I'm
the
not
village
sure
process.
it's for approval, it's just for council information.
Well, it says here for
No,
council
it's,
approval.
no, it's,
Oh,
we're
it is for
going to pass
approval.
a
Yeah,
motion
okay.
for approval.
We do have to approve this,
Okay.
yeah.
Ron, you used to get the binder, you used to get the binder, but.
We've got, I had, on this, just as an education piece, when I was the liaison with the tree committee, I would have the binder at the table.
I could tell what it was.
I frequently was at the site, so I could go at length of what this is about, but it doesn't get to your question.
Yeah.
So, quick skinny is the neighborhood's already been canvassed, there's been a meeting on site, everybody, this is a amicable situation. The trees are on village property,
No objection?
no objection.
Where is it?
Across down the street from Councillor Bain's place, the new house, Mr. Gatto's the owner. Across the street, a little right of way that the village owns, there's some alders that need to go
On the uphill side,
downhill side.
downhill side. Okay, yeah, we're gonna have to tighten up on that so that the council knows what it's actually approving. Whether it does.
As a counter argument to that, the issue would be having a committee making a recommendation that, having done the work that council would discard and vote on and the reasons aren't clear to me. And I can say that in 4 years of my time, I have not seen one being declined by council.
Yeah, I don't know what the need for approval is if we have no information to debate. Why would you not approve it then? What's the need for approval?
But my understanding of the tree committee is to streamline the process, to keep, so that the residents have a process to go through, and it's rubber stamped by the tree committee. Why does it need to come to council?
That's what I'm
We've got
asking.
That's the point, this
Well,
seems
the
like a
reason
pointless
is that-
exercise.
Well,
The
because
only council
council's
has the
approving
power,
that the
yeah.
tree can be cut because the committee has no standing to
Yeah.
say, go do
Well,
this.
So we are actually abrogating the responsibility for the decision to the tree committee, but only council has the authority to make it.
Make the final decision.
And that's fine, because we have one council member on the committee, and the rest is appointed.
Well, I would think it would be a little easier if, on a report like this, if there'd be sort of an FYI for us, so that we know what we're talking about,
Yeah.
or know what we're approving. I get your point. To Ron's point, I see no point in disputing it, but then part of the thing is the check and balance. If the tree committee saw something that somebody at the table had an issue with, we could discuss it, but I knew where the property is, but I don't know what trees are involved. I trust the tree committee that they're gonna make the right decision, but I would
Yeah.
just like to know what we're agreeing to as well.
I agree. What I would like to see is in the format very much like the one on the next page, 17. So there's a recommendation from the committee. There's background. Half the people we talked to hated the idea, the other half were okay. We recommend that we do it for the following reasons. So we know.
Even just a idea where it is and which
Well,
tree.
well, I mean,
Yeah.
again, just to think on this one, just for another 30 seconds, to streamline the thing, it's so much easier just to have the file here.
Yes, or if it's a non-disputed one, to say so. If it's non-disputed, then it's easy. If there's no dispute amongst anybody, but if there's any contention, we need to know about it. That's what we're then making a choice on.
Okay, so then for the chairman, the advice would be to include non-disputed in the
Yeah. Yeah,
recommendation.
I think that would be simple.
Because
And if there
everybody's
is a
radar
dispute-
would go down.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if there is a dispute, say what it is, and give us information we need to make a decision on.
It'd be fair then to put this leg up then, so I'll ask the chairman to indicate not disputed in future
Yeah,
correspondence.
I mean, you know this one to be non-disputed, so we can
Yes.
take that. We
Yeah,
can take
it's
that.
granted, that's fine, and also, we can just ask staff to put the file on
But
the
now-
table.
Specifically in Simon's email, he says, please ensure that the response includes the no cutting until sentence. Why is that not in the... So what happens now? Staff write a letter
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
resident
We noticed that too, that as far as I was concerned, Simon should have put it in the.
in the actual
well,
approval.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the actual approval.
Okay, well then we will approve it subject to that. So where does that go?
Oh,
No cutting until-
Yeah, because we write to the applicant and tell them that, exactly how it's been approved.
Yeah, okay, so
And,
it would-
that is not-
to cut one tree down after August 31, is that what it is?
The date that apparently that Simon's got there.
But what is the date? Is it August 1?
31.
Do you know, Susan? Is it August 1 or August 31? It's a nesting thing.
Yeah, I know.
We do have a track of the date. I think it's mid-August. I want to
I think
say
it's the
August
16th,
15th
or
or
something like
16th,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, I think
But we
that's
do
what
have
it
a
is.
record of that.
Okay, let's say August 16th. That's good, so we'll say on or after. Okay, so I would suggest that we will approve this with the proviso that the middle sentence is application to cut one tree down on or after August 16th, 2015 has been approved, subject to council approval. Fine? Okay, so I guess we have to resolve this, so can I have a motion and a second? Further discussion? All in favour? Opposed? Carried. So that's that.
So then, on this one, for future applications, if staff could bring a file to the table. Because frequently there's lots of pictures here, and
Yeah.
you get the super.
Although, as the council representative, if you tell us that it's good,
What am I, file, it's 20 feet behind me.
yeah,
so-
maybe you just need to refer to it, sure. But I
And-
mean, this one was a non-disputed one.
Yeah.
It would be nice to know that as part of the documentation, then we can go.
Yeah.
Okay, so staff report. Pam?
I'm presenting this as the acting public works manager. So I did go over them with Nikki, but I'm pretty much limited to what's in the report. The first one, the Lions Bay Beach Park Rockwell remediation. The DFO have authorized the mitigation works to go ahead with a start date of no later than August 16th, and that is the nesting date that we had previously talked about, I believe.
No earlier or no later?
No later. No sooner than August 16th.
Okay. That's a fisheries protection
Oh, that's
thing.
fisheries, so this isn't the nesting, this is the fish,
Yeah.
so similar date. Maybe that's the date we were thinking of, August 16th.
Okay, well,
We'll
I'm
make sure the date.
prepared to have that date changed as necessary. But
So.
okay, fine, good,
And basically, these works will be finalized and scheduled accordingly.
very good. That's good news.
I have a question.
Sure.
Before. So will we be doing this? Will our public works guys be doing this work, or are we, is it going out?
I don't know.
'Cause it
That's up to staff. The council has to worry about that. How it's done.
Not
There's a
sure.
So
budget.
the budget is
The
fine?
budget, yes, if, the budget would have been addressed here if it wasn't. So we do have budget for it, either for external or for internal, but I don't know if it's
So
going to be
no extra
internal.
budget needed?
No extra budget needed.
Okay. Rock
Uh,
removal, 19.
The Lions Bay rock removal, basically the DFO have not authorized this project to commence to date, pending additional information. Nikki has indicated the information required will be considerable. So she's outlined two options, that council may direct staff to not pursue this project further, or to direct staff to hire a qualified environmental professional to assess the ocean front. At this time, we know the hourly rates, but I guess we'd have to get a quote because we don't know how much it would cost. And I
Okay.
think she's indicated some prior correspondence showing that the cost has been substantial in the past.
Well, I don't think we've ever removed rocks before, so I don't think we've.
No, I think that was why. I mean, I think we did
Oh, if we looked.
look into it and then decided not to because
Okay,
of the
well,
cost.
the Pandora is out of the box, the cat's out of the bag. Discussion?
So when I was looking through this and the information that was requested, it didn't seem, I don't know, I don't know, it didn't seem that onerous, and I'm wondering if we have resident experts that might be able to just respond. We have marine biologists.
You're right, you know.
So, and you know, some of it is like, it's quite general, these questions. There's only a few specific ones about types of fish that a layman couldn't answer. So maybe I could certainly ask around. And in general, what rocks are we talking about? Are they rocks that's just sitting on the beach, or are they rocks that's in the,
They're on the beach at low tide. In fact, most of them are blocks of concrete.
oh,
They're not actually even native rocks. They've been dumped there over the course of time. I'll point out that the beach is not a natural beach. It has to be replenished twice a year with dump loads of sand. I presume we have permission for that. And so then the rocks disappear and then they get scarred out, and it's standard stuff. That's a good idea.
because if you read through it, you can,
It's I know it's not onerous. It's pretty simple. I could answer 90% of them except the kind of fish.
Yeah, so
Small
we
ones.
have, I know we have 2 marine biologists, so they should be
I
able to.
would recommend that Mayor Byrne not respond.
I'm not the marine biologist she's talking
No
about.
email, no phone calls, no nothing.
I failed marine biology.
I
I never took it.
I'm gonna guess that the wind is out of all of our sails on this one.
Yeah, yeah.
And that,
It's been
and we could chat some more, but I would go with option 1 at this point, and we'll stick it on the 2016 budget.
it seems ridiculous when it's fairly obvious what can be done. But yeah, I agree with Councillor Ron.
Yeah, Councillor Ron.
I can remember his last. I still can't actually.
Ever a name tag, sorry.
No, I actually have one.
Okay.
So that would be my recommendation.
Yes, I would say so. But then this goes to another point about, can I talk about the logs? No.
No.
Um,
Please
There seems to
don't.
be more logs there. There's logs and stumps and, I don't know, okay. I'll put it on the next
Yeah,
agenda.
No.
you've got to be
Yes.
careful what you wish for, as I've discovered. Okay, so I'll move that we accept the first option 1, not pursue it further. Table it for another better climate. Okay, so we'll resolve that. Can I have a motion? A second. And the motion is that we adopt recommendation option 1 of the information report regarding beach park rock removal and do nothing. All in favour? Opposed? Carried. Tree assessment.
Okay, tree assessment next steps, that council directs staff to include the recommended works required to mitigate moderate 3 tree risk in the 2016 budget process. Basically a tree risk assessment report for 13 trees in Lions Bay Beach and 1 tree in Brunswick Beach Road had been received from the BC Plants Healthcare Inc. And staff recommended a business case for the mitigation options for the 5 trees listed in moderate 3 risk be prepared for review during the 2016 capital budget process. And then, of course, there's an extensive report with pictures about the different trees.
Yeah, why is this a council matter and not a staff matter?
There's no budget.
But there's no budget for this. I thought there was. There's not. Obviously, there's not.
I think that's why the works manager is delaying it. Plus also the last paragraph, last sentence actually, no mitigation works will be scheduled during February to August, which is the nesting season. So basically the budget needs to be approved in late 2015 so that the work can be done in January. Or it don't get done, or it's after the beach season in 2016. So for me, as with the rock situation, I'm looking at this as an accelerated decision for the 2016 budget. Because the window of the work is very small.
Yeah. So, yes. Now, my understanding of moderate 3 trees is there are defined issues, retain and monitor, not expected to be a problem for at least another 1 to 5 years. What is the budget for, Pam?
Well, her proposal would be, she's got 5 trees listed in moderate 3, so it would be a budget just to remove those 5 trees
But
in
why do we need to
2016.
remove them?
I'm
Because
assuming it's
moderate-
based on the recommendations.
Well, they're designated moderate 3, and that says not expected to be a problem for at least another 1 to 5 years. I don't know how you can have a range for at least, but okay. So at least 1 year. So
I'm
I'd
not
suggest.
sure,
Isn't
What's
that
going
the
on?
decision of an arborist?
Yeah, the arborist has designated the moderate 3. Meaning they're not going to fall down this
Yeah,
year.
That's right.
Maybe another 5 years. So I'd suggest we defer. I don't need to tell you that this is not just simply a matter of removing unhealthy trees. We're talking about trees at the beach. I don't know if you remember the furore.
I remember it quite well.
Oh.
The school children of the village were prepared to chain themselves to a
Yeah.
dearly loved tree until their parents found out that the to save the dearly loved tree was $2,000, and then it was less loved. So I think even on this, there's got to be some telegraphing out of what may occur.
Okay, well, you're right, and this is now in the minutes. It's something worth noting. The mayor's letter is getting longer and longer.
Well, I don't think you have to.
Not all at the same time, no.
You will be writing your stuff in August when we're not here.
Yeah. Yeah, so my read, Pam, is that none of this is imminent danger. There are classifications for that. I'll tell you what they are.
Mayor Burr, this is on my radar for the budget.
Yeah, it's. I think we don't. There's no, unless you tell me different. There's no particular need for an emergency budget today.
No, I think she's just suggesting putting it as a proposal for the 2016 budget, which council can accept or not accept.
The
Just to
most
have it
important
there.
thing is that nothing's, according to this, nothing's
Nothing's
destined to
wrong.
come
No,
down. So for now, we're good for a year.
It
Okay.
says 1 to 5 years,
Yeah.
and then even then, that would just be suggested in the budget, and it would be council's decision if you put it into the budget.
Okay, so the recommendation is the council receive this report for information, sounds good, and that council direct staff to include the recommended works required to mitigate subject trees in the 2016 budget process. Well, I guess this will be the first kick at the can for the 2016 budget.
And we have many things already.
Okay, don't know about them. Okay, so motion is to accept the recommendation. Second, all in favour? Opposed, carried. So that's that. And the Public Works Manager's report. Unless you're in a position to address it, I think we
No.
can move on.
Yes, I think it was here for information, and any questions, specific questions I could pass on to Nikki, or they could be emailed to her upon her return.
Okay, the recommendation is council receive the report for information purposes.
I have a comment, if I may.
Yeah,
And this
absolutely.
is for CFO work to pass on. For me, the report's fine. Mayor Burr has his rocks, I have my pipe. If the recommendation by one of the residents, last council meeting was cutting the pipe in half at Ocean View, which seemed like a pretty good idea. And if the works manager could consider that, it hits the issues of not moving the pipe, no cost to it, and it certainly hides the pipe. And I have a cadre of residents ready to beautify the area.
I think the topic came up at the last IC meeting, and one of our resident engineers figured that if you cut the thing in half, the structural integrity of the pipe would be
Yeah.
lost.
It'll collapse on itself.
Crap on
Lots of
itself, yeah, that's the material it's made of.
Okay.
Yeah, Nikki was there, right? Yeah.
Yes, she was.
And it has been discussed.
Okay.
That we're living with the pipe until we fix the larger problem, which is,
What street do you live on again?
I didn't like the pipe 4 years ago.
It's
Why? Because it's not actually solving the problem.
Well,
That's
no,
what's
it's
to
not.
solve.
Okay. Thank you.
It helps, it helps alleviate the problem, but it's not necessarily the answer,
We're all there.
yeah.
That's the pipe is not good.
Is that in the minutes, Councillor Bain?
It will be when I write them.
We took copious notes. You should have seen.
Good. If I could get a copy of that in due course.
Okay, so I'll take a motion on the recommendation, and a second. All in favour, opposed, carried. That's good. So we've received that report, and we'll move on to emergency services report. Where's the police report? There. Yeah. Okay. Anything strike you? Pretty standard.
Yep.
I mean, none of this really, the police report doesn't necessarily impact the village. As I said, I did contact the RCMP detachment, ours, in Squamish, and asked that they patrol our parking lots daily, if not more, and they were very amenable. Why? Because, for example, Staff Sergeant Cumming lives in North Van, and he drives from Squamish to North Van daily in his uniform, in his private vehicle, but he's fully, as far as he's concerned, he's on duty 24/7. Great guy. Okay, so we'll
Can we
move
do
on.
something for him in appreciation of that?
We'll make him wear his uniform and give him some
Canada Day cake?
cake. I don't know if he has a ceremonial uniform. Well, I do say thank you on a regular basis, but maybe, yeah.
Well, it's a nice gesture to recognize that effort. Don't quite know what the format
He will
would
say
be.
it's his job. Yeah. Maybe we need to write him a letter or something.
Yeah.
Or write the whole detachment.
Yeah.
They have done, you know, when things go bad in a hurry, which they tend to do, they are, I'm continually stunned that this country puts on public servants whose job it is daily to be interested, compassionate, concerned, helpful, life risking, and they do.
Yeah.
Every day. I'm thinking specifically of our disaster in December, but
A letter from you?
maybe a letter from me. I've been directed by council to write a letter of continued appreciation. That'll actually remind me what the letter is about. and I'm going to put something in the mayor's letter as well.
Thank you.
Okay, so there's no recommendation on that, so we'll move on to resolutions. I believe there are none. Is that correct?
Correct.
Good, so we'll move on to bylaws, officers 494 adoption after the premature and excessively hasty and subsequently corrected adoption of last meeting. We're now ready for adoption, is that correct? Acting CA.
Officers bylaw, yes,
Yeah.
we are ready for adoption.
Okay, so there's no discussion on this. Can I have a motion for adoption and a second? Further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favour of adoption of bylaw 494 of 2015, the officers bylaw? Thanks, and opposed? None, that carries unanimously. We'll move on to the council procedures bylaw
Can I
number.
have an on-table report, please?
Thank you.
Thank you, Pam.
So, sorry, I just have to find my copy. Yes, so this was actually the bylaw that we were going to third reading at the June 2nd meeting, and then we made a change to it. We had monthly meetings, and it was suggested we go back to bi-weekly meetings. And we did the third reading, and I realized after the meeting that that was incorrect, because this is a bylaw that actually has to go to the public. So what we need to do is rescind third reading, and then it needs to go to the public per the Charter 94 requirements for public notice. Basically, we'll rescind.
But sorry, just go back to the
Yep.
charter. Just give us the relevant section on the charter.
It is a bylaw that needs to. It needs to be given public notice for feedback and review as per section
every change?
124.3 of the community charter.
For
It had-
any and every change.
Well, we did all the changes together. We originally we did the initial draft of the bylaw. It did go to the public. It was agreed upon, and then we did the readings. But before we did the third reading, the change was made from monthly meetings back to bi-weekly meetings.
But many changes were made between the first and second readings. I remember, for example, the recording devices.
There were lots of changes.
There were, but
we
it
didn't
did-
do public meetings for those.
I believe we did. I believe it went to the public after those changes had all been resolved. And then it went to
In
the
what
public.
format?
I don't think so.
In the e-post. We just referenced it in the e-post, I believe. Well, if we didn't, then we missed it,
Okay.
because
Yeah,
it
then
does
we-
have
yeah.
to go to.
Just read us the relevant section out of the charter.
It says, a bylaw under this section must not be amended or repealed and substituted unless the council first gives notice in accordance with section 94, public notice, describing the proposed changes in general terms. In section 94, the applicable notice must be posted in a public notice posting places and published according with this section, which is, it says a newspaper, but we are allowed to use our e-post 2 consecutive weeks prior to the third reading.
Okay. Okay. Excellent.
So-
Good catch.
We will rescind the third reading, and then
We'll give public
Thank-
notice.
we will give the public notice, and
these
then
changes.
with the e-post in this Friday and next Friday, and then we'll do third reading on the July 7th meeting, and then the adoption on the July 21st meeting.
Good.
So it will be adopted before the break, and then officially starting September, you'll have the new procedures.
Yeah. Which is sort of a good time.
I recall the conversation around the table last time and previous times, and at one point in time, we were going to change to monthly meetings, period. And then it changed to, we were gonna do that, and then something came up, and somehow we went back to having the first and the third week. And I don't quite recall how that process got started,
Happened
because,
in the June 2nd meeting.
Yeah.
We were getting ready for third reading, and then Councillor Watterson, I think, brought up the topic about the monthly meetings, and then the discussion occurred about going back to bi-weekly. I think one of the reasons was you always have the option of cancelling a meeting, so that way you'd have 2 scheduled, but you always had the option of cancelling the second meeting.
And the other way around, you'd have to call a special meeting with additional, I wouldn't call them onerous, but additional notice requirements and so on.
So that was agreed to. We quickly made the changes.
But we couldn't do it at third reading.
And then we did the third reading, and that's when we realized we shouldn't have done the third reading. It
No,
needed to
that's-
go to the
that-
public.
that's
But
fine.
that was my recollection of the conversation.
yeah,
was
no,
that- yeah.
my concern is and always has been the the extra work generated by this group meeting twice a month on staff.
I think the intention unofficially is to almost invariably cancel the second meeting.
Yeah, it's just, and that's where I'm coming from, like, I wanna make sure that we don't overload staff when we start, because if we fall into the trap of thinking we have to do that, and we do it, we're gonna have, you know, we're creating a lot of work.
I mean, there is
Yeah.
more work. I guess conversely, if you do everything in one meeting, the minutes would just be longer. I do agree, there are extra steps.
Yeah.
The one advantage of the two meetings and then having the ability to cancel is times when we're adopting the budget and where even now when we do the annual report, there's several steps of approval. We actually need those bi-weekly meetings and occasionally do need special. So I do appreciate the concern. I mean, I wasn't here for the original part of the conversation because it's been going on for a while, but I think if we have that option of canceling, and maybe the decision would be made at the first meeting of every month as part of that agenda almost, we could say, do we move now to cancel the second meeting?
That's a good idea, because otherwise you wouldn't want to leave it too late, because then stuff is going to start coming in for the second meeting. Yeah, we would decide at the first meeting if it's
It would
necessary.
have to be on the agenda, yeah.
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 That's a good
Very good point.
practical approach to how we would actually do it, because I was wondering how would you cancel it? How would you know to cancel the second? Well, it's clear at this stage that we have to rescind the third reading on procedural grounds.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's any dispute, debate.
No.
Yeah. Okay, so let's have a motion on that then, please. Thanks, and a second. And any further discussion? So the motion is to rescind the third reading of the Council Procedures Bylaw number 476 of 2015. All in favour? And opposed? None. Carries unanimously. Good. Pam, and so you'll be able to handle the background technical stuff about notice, blah, blah,
Yes.
blah.
Yes.
Good, thank you.
Take care of that.
Good catch, well done. Correspondence, starting on page
Oh,
87.
sorry, we have bylaw C, the
Oh, beg your
official
pardon. I
community
ticked it
plan
off.
amendment. Really, that was more for information. As part of the process, I realize you're still wordsmithing. I think the goal was to have it complete sometime in September. This was more of a heads up that we have to schedule a public hearing. We may not be ready at this time to do that, but we will have the process of
Yeah,
scheduling
so
a public hearing.
it's on my plate. I am tweaking it. More flow and grammar than substantive, but it would need to come to council for one last look before we had a public consultation. It is an OCP amendment, so it's a fairly serious thing. It needs a public hearing, not just public comment. We do actually have to hold a meeting.
Yeah.
We're getting into July.
I sort of made a note, given the vacations that we're hearing about and the fact that we're slightly short of staff at the current time, that perhaps if we aimed in August with no meetings, perhaps early September would be a tentative time to think of doing a public hearing.
Do you know if Metro is getting it all bolshy,
I can find out.
Ron?
I'm just wondering if we can combine your open public meeting on water and stuff and do one of these things and make it all in one shot here.
Yeah, well, I mean, Pam's talking about a September timeframe for this, for the public hearing. Public hearing is different than a town hall meeting. A town hall meeting is,
Don't we float it out to the public before we have the public meeting?
well, it's going to float it out, yeah.
So.
But the problem is September is too late for the water meeting.
Well, I mean, okay, so just, I think that's a priority.
Yeah,
for Town hall.
yeah.
So we should try and do as many things there as we can.
Well, my original thinking was that the town hall would be used to discuss the annual report once it's issued. Now, the annual report is in theory due on June 30th. I'm hoping we're going to get a timeline on what we're actually going to do, because that seems like a fairly soft target from what we understand. There's no comeback and no penalty for being late on that, because the statutory stuff's all been met. What's the salary reporting thing called again?
The Sophie report
Sophie
is due
report.
June 30th.
Yeah, so that's done. The financials have been filed, so on and so forth. I think we're all somewhat in agreement that the annual report's an opportunity to actually report to the village. I would be fairly loud in promoting the annual report that people need to read it, meaning it has to have some meat in it. But the point was that it would then be discussed in the town hall. But we're sort of running out of time for that now, because,
We have a very tight time frame for the annual report.
yeah. Well, I'm still looking for the time frame.
No, it's we're discussing it in the closed meeting.
Oh, good, thanks. Okay, to be honest, I haven't checked that. Yeah, so, yeah, the council procedures bylaw is not time pressing, right, Pam? There's nothing in there that we need to have in play by any
Somebody-
particular time. I'm talking
The
about
council, the council procedures bylaw?
sorry,
The
public hearing.
Public.
No, that was really just sort of a reminder that it had to be done.
Mm.
Because we don't often need public hearings, and this is one that we needed a
Yeah,
public
yeah,
hearing
this-
for.
And
Well,
remember,
just
you're gonna be the
given-
driver on this for the town hall.
Yeah, for the,
So,
yeah.
I mean, if
The
you-
town hall is different to the public hearing. Public hearing is going to be in September, and it may be that there's other things to do in the same public hearing. The rezoning request, as a result of, from what I understand, to be subdivision requests coming through with a rezoning requirement for the second parcel. So that might be good timing. So thanks, that's a good heads up. We don't have to do anything about it now. September looks like about the right time frame for a hearing. We can maybe kill two birds with one stone in the hearing, because the hearing's formal, whereas the comment period is less formal. Thanks, we don't have to do anything resolution-wise on that, so we'll move on. Correspondence, 87. Now, in future, as Pam has pointed out, we will have to change the council procedures bylaw, and in fact now we have an opportunity to do that, to allow for consent agenda. Seeing as we've rescinded third reading, we can in fact put a consent agenda clause in there.
We could. We need to do some research around it
Yeah.
and have discussion around the table, so it would delay probably until September, the adoption. Or until,
Yeah, I don't see it as pressing.
we sort of talked about maybe waiting for a new CAO.
Yeah, well,
And, I mean, I think it's a great idea, but I think we need council discussion around it, understanding of what it is.
Well, given the time and the fact that August is off,
We're closed.
you know, so it's not gonna be an issue, can't be an issue.
Mhm.
We're not meeting.
yeah, so the point is that typically correspondence would be in the consent agenda.
Yeah.
You move acceptance and move on.
That's right.
The idea being that people will have
Mhm.
reviewed it and pulled out anything they want to discuss.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
we don't have that in front of us today, so we will go through it, starting with G1. Anything? I don't think that we're going to nominate anybody for the Open for Business Awards. The Grand Fondo, I don't think we have to do anything about that, just arrange on the day some sort of notification to...
If they want something, they come as a delegation.
Yeah. The UBCM, this is handled at Metro level. I don't think we do anything about it. I certainly wouldn't suggest that anybody, that Lions Bay put itself forward as anything at UBCM. However, I am going. That is where good things happen. I've taken advice from various people, including MLA Jordan Sturdy, who says that would be a very ideal opportunity to talk to Minister Oakes, Coralie Oakes, who's the small communities minister, about long-term addressing of our water measurement issues. So I'm going to bring that to the IC next time. Talk about what I'm going to ask her, and it's to do with sponsoring an academic study of snowpack extent as revealed by satellite and aerial, and resulting stream flow. It's a 10-year, 15-year study, but at least then we're going to know where we stand in future, in theory. So that's all part of the UBCM. It's all pretty good stuff. Okay, so wood fiber is now joining the tanker organization. I think we knew that. Cumulative effects assessment is going ahead. That's good. Stop me if I'm going too fast. That's the press release from John Weston on National Health and Fitness Day. Helen, you asked for this to be put in correspondence, so you can speak to it.
Yes, this is following actually one of our previous action points with regards to Bear Smart. Remember originally you said that perhaps you can be a committee of one, and then I think Norma, when I met up with Norma, she said in fact she's willing to organize a wildlife working group which would therefore cover our Bear Smart requirements. And
Would it?
she said yes. Because
My
they
understanding
were
is you're supposed to have a Bear Smart committee, start and finish, in quotes, but I don't know. So Norma would know.
Well,
That's what I
she
thought.
said yes, and then she would actually ask, I don't know, Mr. Busick, who's the
The CEO,
Bear
yeah,
Sm-
yeah.
the Bear Smart guy,
The conservation officer.
yeah, conservation officer, if he would be part of this working group, and therefore I guess then it would cover maybe Bear Smart principles or requirements or whatnot.
Well, yeah, I mean, if he's on the thing, that would be good, because he was fairly adamant at the safety meeting that it's not a slam dunk that we keep our Bear Smart status, and he expects to see active engagement in retaining it.
So I think that she is willing to actively work on Bear Smart and actually wildlife as a whole, but without all the, the more,
Bureaucracy.
yeah.
Well, the problem is, I think we need the bureaucracy. I
think
believe
we
it
need
has
the
to be a committee.
bureaucracy to document it.
Yeah, I think there have to be minutes and so on and so forth. So what I would suggest, I mean, this, I believe this is what I reported to council 2 meetings ago. So I was prepared to be the committee, do the meetings. I don't know if a committee of one is even
But
allowed.
in the letter, they refer to working group.
Yeah, so that would be independent, and that would be
Subject
working
matter
in concert.
experts,
Yeah, working in concert with the Bear Smart Committee. So the Bear Smart Committee does its thing, does its report. It meets once a year. It fulfills the statutory requirements. The CEO wants to see action, and that would be handled by the wildlife group. And essentially, Norma and the people that work on the wildlife that were Bear Smart just don't want the bureaucracy. They don't want to report. They don't want to sign liability waivers. They just want to do wildlife stuff. Which I think the MO that I've outlined will work.
So shall we say that council will support this working group and also strike a Bear Smart committee?
Do we need to ask staff for a report on that one? Not current staff, I agree. We have to wait until the new CAO is in place. But do we want to ask for a report? I mean, that's all feasible, or do we just do it?
I think you got a good plan, let's go for it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm kind of curious about is this comment about the group would be funded annually.
Yeah,
Well,
sure
that's the
does.
first time I've heard of it as well. So yeah,
Thought so.
I don't remember discussing that, to be honest. There is or was a Bear Smart budget.
$500 a year that
Yeah.
we gave to the Bear Smart
Ever use
Committee.
10 cents?
No, she used it for educational materials.
Like, I think she made magnets.
Yeah, there was initially quite a big
Yeah.
Bear Smart grant from the Bear Smart
Yeah.
provincial level that was used for the signs that go up when there is a bear. Not that we've seen a bear for 3 years, which means it's working, by the way. That's good. Okay, I won't go into that story.
Okay, so I'll get
So,
the budget too.
I mean, I would say that the Bear Smart Committee retains its budget and hands it to the Wildlife Group.
There was no budget in the 2015 budget
Was
because
there
it
not?
dissolved and they returned
Okay,
the balance
sounds
to the
about right.
2014.
But isn't Bear Smart a committee of council? Correct? Not that IC or any other committee has a budget right now. So yeah, I guess it would need to be assigned a budget in the.
It could be, but it could be assigned a budget if you wanted it, but I mean, as you pointed out, they fridge magnets, posters
Yeah,
and stuff
yeah.
like that, so.
Yeah, outreach to the
you know,
school,
like,
because the new kids need to be
you know,
told
you
every
could
day.
have the IC demonstration for us or something, I mean, I don't know.
I'm just wondering if it couldn't be expensed against the budget.
It was a
Well,
municipal grant. It was an outside party and we gave them a municipal grant, the Bear Smart Committee.
okay, well now it's going to be an internal, it's going to be a council
Be a
committee,
municipal grant.
a separate grant to the wildlife group. Fine, so it will be a community grant.
Yeah,
So what's requested in the 2016 budget?
Yeah, yeah,
Zach got it.
yeah.
So what do we say to Norma?
That the proposition of the wildlife working group is good. It'll work hand in hand with the Bear Smart, the statutory Bear Smart Committee, which will consist of me, I will meet annually with myself
And,
prepare minutes.
and or the committee.
Well,
Yes.
all the other members of the committee as
Are
well,
you gonna
yeah.
produce minutes?
And, yeah, because it has to be official. Can she please confirm that that...
I'll leave second the motion.
You got 2 hands.
Because as you know, after you've struck the committee, hours you
You,
zero.
yeah, you have to have an odd number of members. How do you second? Oh, I can, if there's, yeah,
No opposition.
yeah, I can motion and second.
We are an odd number of members.
I think that doesn't need
You
to
look,
be
you look
reported, Carol.
skeptical. CAO Rook.
No, I don't know the history of the Bear Smart. I know it has a long history.
Yeah, well, it was personalities involved. You know, people are very keen on making sure that bears aren't harmed in the village, and that's all they really care about. They don't care about the rest.
But if she comes back and says we don't need a committee and yet we can still retain Bear Smart status, then we don't need one, right? You're not adding.
Well, but then there's an administrative requirement for reporting liability and so on. That's what I'm seeking to insulate Norma
Well,
from the bureaucracy.
Isn't this semantics about committee and wildlife working group?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
In the past, the Bear Smart Committee was independent of council. It was.
It wasn't an
It
official
was
committee.
a. We got the Bear Smart status. We gave them a municipal grant, but they were like the events committee. I mean, we gave them money and they were self.
But Norma has objected
Administered.
Recently, for the last year and a half, on excessive reporting requirements that
Okay.
she feels. So I'm trying to avoid.
Is there a
remove those.
requirement for reporting in the Bear Smart data that we have or in the grant?
All municipally funded groups are required to do things.
Yeah, but the
Sign.
question is, specifically, is there a need for a report?
In terms of the municipal grant, it's just an annual application progress that isn't onerous. I don't know about the Bear Smart Committee to officially be a Bear Smart Committee if there's sort of a governmental
But that would be external
reporting
to
you
the
have to
village.
do. In terms of municipal grants,
But
it's
if
just
it's
an annual
if
reporting.
it's a permit requirement, then that can be dealt with by staff, a permit, Bear Smart permit.
Yeah, I don't think it's a permit. I think it's just a status.
Okay.
I think let's do this. Let's you and me sit down and just find out the technical details
Yeah.
and
Okay.
come up with an approach, and then we'll report back to council.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's a whole binder on when she got Bear Smart status.
On what the requirements are.
Yeah, and how she got it and everything else. I think, I mean, it's quite thick, so something might be in there.
Mhm. Could be helpful.
So me.
Mine.
Oh, we got a copy
Set of
somewhere.
mine.
Okay. Let's
Okay,
let's set up a separate meeting
with
Norma and come
Okay.
up, and we'll report back to next council meeting. So we'll do it quick,
Yeah.
so that we
The final.
we put this thing to bed.
On that note, if we could go back to correspondence, we, Mayor and Council have to accept the correspondence as received,
Receive it.
or just receive it?
Receive it.
Okay. Well, that was our last
Officially receive it.
correspondence.
Actually, we had that under new business, Wildlife Working Group.
Did we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I thought this was correspondence.
It's titled wildlife working group.
no.
I'm sorry. Okay.
No, because I put that in as new business, but somehow it got put into correspondence as well.
It was the correspondence.
Because I'm going by the.
It's under new business.
Okay, sorry. So we got ahead of ourselves. So the John Weston thing was the end of the correspondence. So can I have a motion to receive correspondence and a second? All in favour? Opposed? Carried. So now we've discussed the wildlife work group. Where is that on the agenda?
It's under new
12.
business.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. You see.
It was, sorry, I apologize. It was filed correctly in mine, and it looks like in some of them, the tab was inserted before instead of after.
Tabs. I don't need no stinking tabs.
You do, because
write that down.
we didn't approve the correspondence like we should
Yeah,
have.
we did. Yeah, you're right.
I moved
You're
my
right.
tabs around just to keep Shauna going.
Yeah. Okay, good. So we've done that one. Long-term community service award, long-term achievement award.
Can I put this on, may I put this on table?
No,
No, not on this is like on the agenda, so I just wanted to report.
Okay.
For long-term community?
Yes.
What, and it is on the agenda.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just wanted to actually.
Yes.
So my suggestion is, because currently we have a recognition of volunteer, so I was thinking maybe not this year, perhaps next year, we might recognize staff or business, whatnot, who contributed to the betterment of Lions Bay. Staff, particularly those that served.
Long service award.
Yeah, so these are just a definition, and I thought, we could,
So with this, is your thinking that this would be the third or fourth
yeah, if there
major
was
award in
one,
the
so,
village?
it would council consider having an additional award. Not necessarily now, because we're sort of running behind the clock, but moving forward. I'm thinking if staff stays around and does a good job, we should recognize them.
Excuse
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
Either or, these are.
Is
or-
it either or?
Yeah, either or a blend of the two, or these are just ideas.
I don't so much know about contractors or businesses, but I definitely like the idea of staff being recognised.
Yeah.
Can you only do that 5 times in a row and we run out of staff?
I mean, theoretically, it could be like the play school teacher, it could be the bus driver, it
Yes.
could be
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
mailman. I mean, you're trying to recognize somebody here, and we don't know what they're doing yet.
Yeah, so that would definitely be a resident nominated thing, with justification. Yeah, yeah, it's good for all kinds of reasons.
If it was the mailman, that'd be great.
A what?
Don't have a mailman.
Well,
Good.
So how can we move this forward? Like,
I think you bring a recommendation to council that we
Can I write a report?
institute an award. Yeah,
so
Okay.
I
but
think
perhaps send comments to
you
Helen.
did it in the
Yes.
format that you did your earlier one.
Okay, if you can,
Whenever
yeah,
you
send me
get to it.
comments. Or
Yes.
not, I can do a report first and then you can comment back.
But just make a recommendation straight.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, based on this discussion, maybe if send some more ideas to Helen if you have them. You can do it next council meeting, I'd say. You're not proposing to get it done for July 1
No, no.
for next year, and awarded on July 1 or end of the year.
It can be any time, whenever I don't know.
I mean, okay, we'll talk about the
Yeah.
details later. I mean, I don't know if this is a wooden plaque that you hand over or it's
It will probably be similar to whatever we do for these two.
okay. Good. Thanks. C, water conservation.
C is also me. Actually, this goes back to what you were talking about earlier. Perhaps not enough people know about our water conservation level and whatnot. So I was thinking, oh, maybe we can set out, I've mocked up a little direct mailer that maybe we can drop in all the post office box so that people can stick it on their fridge door.
Well, it did go out with the tax notice.
I know, but it was so
Unreadable.
unreadable, not interesting, and then I don't know. It was, I don't know.
Well, I'm sure you didn't mean to say that.
It
Not
looks like something that
uninteresting.
belonged to the tax notice.
Exactly, it looked like part of the tax notice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it got jumbled
I
up
did
with all
actually,
the
mine
other.
is actually on my fridge, but
Mine's on my fridge.
Mine's
But it
sitting in
doesn't
the
have
filing
this
cabinet.
nice little
Same thing.
graphic. It was just a list of lots of words. It was that, right? Is this what everybody has?
yeah,
So from my perspective, it's detailed versus pictorial.
but you can't change any words
No,
because
so we'll take, this is just an
Because that's a
example, but we
bylaw.
would take this and stick it in the back and put this in the front. And I could do this exercise, but like.
what happens when we change to level 2? Do we have to send out a new one?
The one,
No, this doesn't, it's just,
It's a mock-up anyhow.
the levels don't, we'll put a little thingy-mabob that moves around.
Ah.
it is expensive to do a mailing across the village. It's about, is it $700 or?
No.
No, it's $80. It's
Is it?
$80 for the
Oh,
post
sorry, I was
office
thinking
charge.
of the property taxes because it was heavy.
Well, that
Because
was
in
actually
terms of
physically
mailing,
mailed,
I
yeah.
was wondering when the water situation gets dire and we have to reach anyone, that might be the time to do a
But shall
mailing.
we not do it before it gets dire?
Because that's just information on what the signage
Yeah.
means. I'm thinking if we were going to do a mailing, maybe when we know it's going to a level 3, it's another option to mail something out.
Or even level 2 when we change levels. We do need, I mean, the short answer is yes, we need more marketing, if that's the right term, of water conservation. Because I see a lot of people watering the lawns, and I don't think they're
I
bad
know.
people. Out of hours, I mean.
Right.
You just don't know whether it's Tuesday or Wednesday.
Well, no, I mean, you're supposed to stop at 6, and there's a reason for that, so that the water doesn't
Yeah.
immediately it's completely wasted.
So if we had to put it in, like I don't know how that post office works, can you put it in like an advertisement? Because
Yeah.
if we had to mail it to
As
the
long as it's
household,
non-addressed.
it would be in, an envelope, and I mean, that's hours
No,
and
so
hours
this
of
would
work
go out
stuffing the
as a
envelopes.
direct, as a postcard, non-addressed.
Not addressed.
And I think, yes, it costs $80, and I think to print these postcards is
Yeah, it's
$50.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that wouldn't reach the people that have got, that don't want junk.
No, that's
No,
right.
but
Don't
at
miss
least
those
it
people. Misses-
reaches,
They miss everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
at least it reaches
It's worth it.
350?
You know,
Okay.
that technically it has reached everyone with the property tax bill.
Yeah, but as you, you're right.
Mhm.
Okay, so the recommendation is to do a little more user-friendly, more outreach. That is part of the IC's purview. We do talk about that every meeting on communication of the water levels. So why don't we bring it forward to the IC and just come up with a recommendation?
But the back one would, the back would be this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then that can get action quickly.
good.
And my concern is that when levels change, people's behavior must change as well, because level 2 is fairly strict, and level 3 is the sky is falling. Essentially, you can't use your water outside. It's inside use only. Okay, good. Is that satisfactory?
Yep, so
Level
pass.
of discussion?
Yeah.
So we're going to, the IC will take it when's the next meeting, Fred?
Second Monday of next month, which number escapes me.
Yeah, but it's in about 2 weeks, 3.5 weeks time. I'm in a council meeting, Peter Dawson. He wants to know if we discussed anything yet. Okay, so we'll move on. Everybody good with that? To public questions and comments. Susan or Deirdre, you are the only candidates for commenting.
Well, I like Helen's idea. I was just thinking about that today. I think there's something, we're putting something on the fridge so that people can see it and address it and stuff. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I agree. That's a lot nicer to have on the fridge than the piece of paper that I currently have.
So turn that into a magnetic.
Just let's see the other side.
It's the one with all the info.
Yeah,
Mhm.
the other
Don't
side
need
would
to
be
be there.
this, the bylaw.
It looks nice, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that summer of 2014, I actually asked Helen to come up with the logo that I want to put on the bottom of my email from now on. I think the right slogan is "We're going to need every drop," but it's just every little bit helps.
Or tell your neighbors this way.
Something
You
like
can
that.
Put anything on it, yeah.
Yeah, well maybe take your advice on the IC. We're not
So-
marketeers, we're engineers.
Would that be considered junk mail? Is anything that's non-addressed considered
It would
junk
be
mail?
junk
Okay.
mail.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. So it won't go into the
okay.
junk mail, avoiding people.
Mhm.
But there's still, I think the number is 450 or something. Mailboxes do receive it, if I remember from the election. Is that
Good-
about
Pretty
right?
good coverage, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I guess a postcard, a magnet would be quite a bit more expensive, but an actual postcard.
And the magnets, what I've seen is not that big.
Yeah, the ones
I
that
don't know, the big ones are really expensive.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So if it was a postcard, and I guess we could leave some at the front counter for traffic that came in.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, just distribute them widely and leave them on the counter at the post office and at our front desk.
Rick
Okay.
doesn't like that. He throws it right.
What's that?
Rick doesn't like that. Throws
He
it
doesn't?
right there on the
Mm.
counter. This is,
Well, that's
Yeah.
he's within his purview to do that. Yeah.
probably kind of post.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair enough.
It sounds, sad as it sounds, it's really not a choice of people to say, I don't want information from the village. I mean, it is, but in a case like this, for a water situation, it's urgent information.
You
for
think people would
villagers.
want to know, but let me just understand, Susan. Who owns the notice board
Notice board where?
in the post box room?
Well, the one that you go in and it's directly in front of you, that big
Yeah.
one. Yeah, that's
It's our notice board, I believe.
that's for.
It's used by council, but
municipal. Well, I imagine, well, the whole thing is kind of closed because it's all the post office, it's all the.
they lease that space. Yeah. So they make the notice board available as out of the goodness of their hearts, I presume.
I think so.
I think so,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think, well, it is one of our official notice boards.
Notice there's two, because I put the postings there. The one directly in front of you
The
only
official one, yeah,
has
yeah.
council information on it, and then to the left, that seems to be the general
Yeah.
one.
And
for
that is our
village.
official notice board, as
It is.
stipulated in
It
the
is.
in the
With the
bylaw.
two, we have that one and the one right outside the door, and that's where we post the agendas as required.
Still wonder how people know to come in and look if there's something to look at. Okay, so thanks for that. I never really understood who owned that notice board. How I know. Resolution to close the meeting. Ready to go? So I'll read the resolution because I understand that we have to. It resolved the Village of Lions Bay Council. Oh, we'll ask the expert. Do we have to read a resolution in its entirety to close the meeting? Or can we just resolve to close the meeting?
I don't know if that's a requirement under the community charter. I haven't seen it in any other organization.
Okay, well, other organizations clearly have done the legal research. So we are going to move our procedure to simply, the basis for it is there, under the charter, 90 section 1, and we are just going to, in future, resolve to close the meeting. So can I have a motion and a second? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. So everybody who shouldn't be here should be here. The recorder is off. Okay, thank you. Back to the agenda, reporting out. Carol, would you mind reading that?
I just closed it. So, I think I have it. I'm trying to.
Is this reporting out the closed agenda?
Yeah.
I can't take that though, can I?
Yeah,
Oh, I
this
did
is what
take
we're
that, but, oh,
reporting out,
sorry,
yeah.
yes, I
Yeah.
apologize.
So you've reported closed.
I can remember it probably, but
Yeah, it's only 3 things. Oh, sorry, I just lost it.
Yes, the staffing we were talked about.
On the,
she's almost there.
yeah.
Because I said it so nicely the
Yeah,
first time.
on the,
We thought she lost
the
it,
annual
sorry.
report and the deadline for the annual report,
Timeline. yeah,
timelines,
yeah.
and the, an update on the CAO staffing process.
Very good. Thanks. Okay, so motion to adjourn. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Helen, just a quick